Hey guys, Marty here with my first pivot video on the channel. As most of you already know, WoW Classic has resurrected the past months. Since the release of Burning Crusade Classic, the Vanilla era servers were almost dead. Just a minor amount of people played there, mostly on RP servers. But the thirst have raised again. The nostalgia fulfilled into the gamers' hearts, and now the Vanilla Classic servers are almost full of players. Not only the PvE and PvP servers, but also the role-playing servers, where the gamers decided to challenge themselves and try to level a 60 level character on a hardcore mode. But this was just the beginning. They didn't stop there. The bravest among them went even further. Yeah, they're actually doing a level 60 raid content on a one life characters. Not only the easiest raids, but people are having great success in the hardest raid of vanilla, Naxxramas. For the past 6 months, streamers and gamers did a lot of effort and fuss about the challenge, and Blizzard finally saw this. They've heard their prayers. Yes, it has happened. Blizzard announced the official hardcore vanilla rules of engagement just a week ago, and the dream that every one of us had became true. Not only that, but they also released a PTR server, where we could actually test and see the features that they described and implemented into the game. With no more time wasting, let's dive deep into the changes and the rules that they posted. Death on hardcore realm is permanent on that realm. Death equals delete. This was the main rule of the hardcore community for the hardcore challenge. If your character dies, no matter what the reason is, you had to delete your character, excluding situations of a random DC while fighting or a player grief exploit, which you could appeal and eventually get your character back on track. What Blizzard offers now is when your character dies, it turns into a ghost, remaining into the Shadow Realm, and you can never release your spirit. However, you have a choice here: a free character transfer into the Classic era realms and continue your journey in a softcore mode, or let your character stay a ghost forever. I wanna be honest here, they really surprised me with that, because I really had doubts that there will be some kind of purchase life option or something that could bring your character back. Also, free character transfer is a cool tool, because your time spent on the character will be saved. I mean, not everyone has a lot of time to play their favorite game, and that way people won't feel like they've had a big loss, because we all get really attached to our tools, and we all know what's the feeling of losing something that's precious to us. So Blizzard really made a friendly gesture to the community with this feature in the game. I'm so glad and satisfied of the decision where there isn't any way to pay for a character release or a paid transfer. I'm excited to see if there will be any ghost communities in the guilds with all the dead characters, and what could players possibly do and explore while being a ghost. How many times you've got into the Griefer's trap while you were trying to speak with the quest giver, the flight master, or just simply right click a mob and then the undead rogue appeared, flagged you with the PvP and finished your hardcore journey? I guess this happened to a lot of people, and it's super annoying and unfair. The change that Blizzard adds is amazing. Players will no longer be automatically flagged for PvP upon attacking another player. No more unintentional actions which could bring the end of your journey. Unless you're type /PvP, you are not able to interact in any way with the opposite faction. That's hilarious. Could you imagine how many deaths this could save? PvP is not really a part of the hardcore challenge, and I guess that's the reason Blizzard to disable every Battleground and PvP Battle Master. Back in the past months, some of the content creators tried and tested some pre-made tournaments in the Warzone Gulch and Arati Basin with a one life characters, but I guess that was only for the fun. I doubt any one of you would go with his full tier 2 mage in Warsong and start spamming frostballs, feeling that confident that he'll never die. The honor system is completely disabled also, and if you kill a player from the other faction, you will gain no honor. With that change in the game, I guess any kind of PvP is useless unless you want to ruin someone's day. Despite the lack of any PvP content, Blizzard admires that we can go and participate into a pre-made wargames. I am looking forward to see some organized tournaments among the community, maybe some Gurubashi arena fights on lower level or some Hillsborough foothills raids that could add some variety to the game. Finally, we will be able to do the Mystic Diplomat quest without being on guard, or trying to complete it early in the morning, or just praying that there isn't undead rogue hiding in the trees. Quests that flagged you with PvP on are now changed, and that will no longer happen. In addition, every quest that required the death of the character for the sake of the lore or just RP reason now is being changed. Yeah, we can now complete our Shadowforge questline, and we don't need anymore a rogue into our BRD party to open the doors, which means that Hunted Justice is automatically Warrior Prio. Not only that, but escort quest NPCs are no longer killable by the opposite faction. In general, all quests that until now people were familiar with the Grief alert are now safe to do, and I think this is a huge improvement. Great work on this from Blizzard's side. After all the reports for griefing and ruining players' game were delivered, and they took the required actions in order to satisfy the hardcore community. There are dozens of video footage that show elite mobs wandering around the gates of Stormwind, such as Teramos the Devourer or Deversaurs out of their jungle, Dark Iron Dwarfs from the depths of Blackrock Mountains killing lobbies in Loch Modan. All these mobs dragged by other players trying to grief the hardcore gamers and making fun of that. And again, Blizzard added another big change in favor of the community. Most creatures will leash and reset when leaving the area or zone they were engaged in. This is of course thankfully to the many videos showing the obvious griefs and reports that players spread around, and it reached the attention. So Blizzard had to react on it, because trying to kill by this way a player in a RP server actually is against the TOS and is bannable. I think this is one of the biggest changes, because the death that griefing caused, especially over the streamers, was really a large portion. 24-hour dungeon lockout before you can run the dungeon again. This change is a bit different compared to the rule of the hardcore challenge, where the dungeons before level 60 could be completed only one time. This, what Blizzard implements, is fundamentally different, but it's still close to the main idea of the original rule. It makes the journey a bit easier because you can grind Scarlet Monastery for a couple of times and get all the strong loot for your warrior. However, you must wait before the timer runs and you can enter again, which automatically will slow down your leveling process. I guess this is not big change for the speed levelers, where they do not care much for the dungeons, but it's a relief for the casual player and gives him a smooth and easy run, giving him the opportunity to refarm the dungeon until his gear becomes strong enough to proceed further. The thing that I dislike is dungeon quests such as Red Leather Bandanas in Stockades or Twilight Pendants in BFD have low drop chance, and you cannot have all the 10 quest items required for the quest in one go. You have to wait for the other day to complete your quest. And on this low level, where leveling is comparatively fast, I doubt you wait for another day or two to do your quest rather than just continue your leveling in the open world. Maybe there could be added 100% chance of dropping the quest item to all the players in the party. The good side is that adding a 24-hour lockout will keep the players out of the dungeons for a fair amount of time, and leveling won't be just the dungeon cliffs what we saw in the original release of WoW Classic back in 2019. In addition, Blizzard restricted an eventual boosting services with keeping the experience reduction if there is a high level toon in the party. This change, in my opinion, is something that makes the run easier and smoother for the casual player. The 16 debuff limit and 32 buff limits have been removed on hardcore realms. This change is kind of a non-hardcore action in my opinion, because I think it will increase the ease of raiding, but the good part is that all the so-called meme raidings, classes and specs can now be part of the raiding process more freely and not get gatekeeping for using their debuff slots. In my opinion, debuff spells like Hunter Stinks, Shadow Word Pain, Corruption, Moonfire, etc. could affect positive with a respective amount to some of the long boss fights. I like that because imagine that there is a 16 slot debuff limitation and you're a Fury Warrior. That means not using Deep Wound style spell, which is a big improvement of the class overall DPS. However, I think it's something that will make the hardcore challenge easier. This feature, in my opinion, is more of a measure to prevent dungeon griefing rather than making the paladin mortal. Yeah, it is increasing dramatically the hardness of leveling or raiding as a paladin on a hardcore realm, but imagine how big would be the griefer amount when you invite that bad guy in your party in Undaman and he pulls 20 trucks on you and then you see him bubble harding out. It'd be a real nightmare. So I really like the change of how bubble will now work. However, I think they could make the spell usable at least one time. Maybe something similar to Light of a Loon and only on level 60. In any case, the change is big and I like that is another way to keep the griefer isolated. Mak'Gora, the most honorable fight and the way to die in the orcish clans of Draenor. In fact, this is something that is again inspired by the hardcore community. Back in the months, we've seen several Mak'Gora tournaments that were organized by some of the content creators, and they've reached a big success. This is maybe my favorite feature that's been added to the official hardcore realms. I'm so excited to participate in any tournament that will be organized in the future, and sure there'll be one. Or I'll just go in Goldshire and challenge a few strangers on a duel to death. This is something that usually never was released in that way. Every single fresh release of a server was bounded with a progressive raiding content. I've heard a lot of negative talks about the topic, but in my opinion it doesn't affect at all the hardcore challenge, because people usually say that everyone would skip some of the content and go straight forward to the raids that give more rewarding loot. But if you think about it, no one will dare to try going into Blackwing Lair with a non-geared main tank for the job, right? I just hope that they somehow manage to implement the gates opening of Hunky Rai and the chance to achieve the Scarab Lord title. This will be an amazing achievement on a one-life character. Blizzard clearly declares that any actions taken toward players' death from any kind of griefing or trying to involve people in an unwanted PvP fight, or anything that basically leads to killing a player against their will, or just trying to ruin the gameplay and the hardcore concept, will result in a punishment for the intruder of the hardcore rules. I really hope that they're determined, as they claim, on tracking down the violations and have a good system for keeping the peace and smoothness of the players in Azeroth. We all want an epic and magnificent journey without any interrupters around, because we already seen far too much in the classic era realms. There are some things that are not the same as in the original hardcore rule set, such as using auction house, trading between non-level 60 characters, doing quests in group while not being an official hardcore duo or a trio, and of course one of the most iconic consumable items in the hardcore challenge, the petrification flask. Blizzard won't restrict these features in the official servers, and I'm kind of disappointed about that, but we either embrace it or we could still play with the add-on on the era servers. For me, allowing these things dramatically increases the chances of survival and making it to level 60. Of course, we can always choose to play on our own version of rules where we just don't trade or use the auction house or running each dungeon only once. In general, we achieved the biggest goal to have an official hardcore server. There are some things that we might dislike, or at least I do not, but it is what it is. The good side of the coin is that this time Blizzard actually focused on satisfying the players' wishes and what the community wants and worked over it. I think that they put a lot of effort on solving the griefer problem with different changes that restrict it and even making it impossible. Tried to be as much as near to the original hardcore rule set and even added something new and cool from themselves as a Mak'Gora do to death. In any case, we have to test around all these new changes because we all know people are really creative and maybe Blizzard left a tiny gap out there and some bored to death non-life Andy will try to ruin your day, so the cards are in our hands. For the past week, I've been playing on the PTR and I've had a lot of fun and still having, of course. I'm looking forward to play on it until they close it and to be able to check out everything that they added. So guys, I hope I see you all in the official servers once they release. Thanks for watching, and if you like the video, share, like and subscribe, because I'll be definitely doing more videos for WoW and especially for the hardcore part, because this is something that I really enjoy. Mori out.